Germany's investment in Russia hit its highest level in a decade last year. However, a new survey of German companies suggests something of a lottery when it comes to operating in the country. A third of the firms say the business climate in Russia has worsened over the past year, but around the same proportions say things have improved. Key complaints are excessive bureaucracy and a weak economy. Russia's economic growth of 1.7% in the third quarter of this year is below what's needed to meet President Putin's target of expanding faster than the global average by 2025. I'm now joined by Mathias Schepp. He's with the German-Russian Chamber of Commerce in Moscow. Mathias, how's business in Russia?
In generally, very good. GDP is slow. We expect only 1% growth until the end of the year. But our companies manage to grow faster and even much faster than the market. So their turnaround is growing and also their profit in general. You do see this also with the high investment number. Last year in 2018, it was 3.2 billion, which is the highest number for 10 years if you compare the inflow and the outflow of German capital into Russia. And it was the second biggest number since the Soviet Union fell apart.
But if you look at your survey that you have done, there's a bit of a discrepancy. 1/3 of German businesses says business is great, and another third says it hasn't improved at all and it's not good. Does it depend on the sector, or why is there such a disparity?
We also have this disparity, as you name it, in the policy concerning economics of the Russian government. On the one hand, we do see a clear improvement of business climate. If you take the Doing Business survey by the World Bank, in 2011, Russia was ranking place 124 between Uganda and Uruguay. Now they are at place 27. So part of the companies who are happy, they do see this. Other companies, they see that we have again an increase in bureaucracy, and they see things like the biggest US investor, Mr. Calvi, being arrested and under house arrest. This was a man who was running around and saying, hey, Russia is a great place to invest, come here. And then he had to spend a couple of months in jail and now is under house arrest. So,
how did Russia manage to climb up from place 120-something into the top 30 in 10 years, less than 10 years?
You can now register your business extremely quick. Russia is now under the top 10 worldwide. They do have some improvement in difficult areas like customs, where they are still lagging behind. So point for point, they were working on this difficult matters.
Very briefly, corruption still a problem?
Yes.
As simple as that. Thank you very much, Mathias Schepp from the German-Russian Chamber of Commerce in Moscow. And we stay on the subject of Russia. The Nord Stream 2 pipeline, designed to bring gas from Russia to Germany, is nearing completion. The project has more than a few critics. The European Commission, the USA, Poland and the Baltic states are all opposing the project. Some fear that the EU will become too dependent on Russian natural gas, and others feel they are just pawns in Russia's power games.
Lohmann in the German state of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern. This is where the 1,200-kilometer-long Nord Stream 2 pipeline reaches the German Baltic Sea coast. Soon, natural gas from Russia will be flowing towards Western Europe. Nord Stream 2 will circumvent Ukraine. Gas market expert Heiko Lohmann says there's a very clear reason for building the pipeline. Naturally, the Russian side always insists that Nord Stream 2 wasn't built to bypass Ukraine like Nord Stream 1, but I believe that's exactly why. As special ships lay pipeline sections just a few kilometers off the German Baltic Sea coast, resistance is coming from the US. They're planning sanctions, possibly to include those operating the vessels. Instead of natural gas from Russia, the USA wants to sell its liquid gas. There's also opposition to the pipeline in Poland. Its antitrust authority has levied a $20 million fine on Nord Stream 2's financing company, reportedly because the proper documents weren't submitted.
In my opinion, Nord Stream 2 cannot be stopped because it's so developed. It's developed in the way that actually make it impossible to put a halt now. However, there is a chance to take the profitability of its project down and to make Gazprom to operate Nord Stream 2 harder.
The Nord Stream 2 pipeline could also be used to transport hydrogen instead of natural gas. Experts like Heiko Lohmann say climate-killing greenhouse gases can be avoided that way. If I'm supposed to use natural gas long-term, and I'm supposed to split hydrogen and carbon dioxide, the Russians are working on a process for making solid carbon. So there won't even be a need for carbon dioxide storage. That means large volumes of liquid hydrogen could be transported by Nord Stream 2, replacing climate-damaging natural gas. It's only a dream of the future, but climate change is accelerating the process.